Hey everybody, welcome to HomeRecordingMadeEasy.com, VisionRecordingStudios.com, and here on my YouTube channel. And today is the first video of what will hopefully be a long series of videos. It really depends on you, my subscribers and people that are viewing this video. This is going to be a Q&A video. I receive probably in a week's time, probably a dozen to 2 dozen emails of people asking me questions, people who buy my Made Easy products or my Quick Mix products, or they watch my YouTube videos or see something I posted on Facebook, whatever, and they send in questions, which is fantastic. I encourage and urge all of my followers and subscribers to please send me your questions on any topic that you need to ask me about as it pertains to mixing, mastering, recording, and all that home recording stuff. And I get a lot of business questions as well. And what I find is I get the same kind of questions over and over again. And as you know, if you've sent me an email, I respond to every single one of your emails, and I also respond in some form or fashion to all the YouTube comments or all the Facebook posts. So it takes an enormous amount of time. And again, I don't mind doing it. I enjoy doing it. So again, I thank you so much for sending in your questions and sending in your comments. But I get a lot of the same questions. So I thought, this would be a good opportunity to kind of condense and consolidate and gather all of these questions. And as I get 4 or 5 questions that come up over and over again, to try to answer them in a video format. So if you want one of your questions answered in one of these videos, and I'll probably do these a couple of times a month or even once a week if I get that many questions, I'll do them as often as I need to try to help you. I'd like you to gather all the questions in one area. So if you could, go on and head out to the Facebook page. Go to Facebook, search for Home Recording Made Easy. If you haven't done so already, please follow me on Facebook and post your questions there, because that's where I'm going to go gather all the questions up, and I'm going to try to create these videos. So there'll be a link below this in the video here, and also in the video description if you're watching this on YouTube, to go out to the Facebook page, hit that like button if you would, and follow me on Facebook, and ask your question there. I'll gather up all the questions, I'll organize them and sort them, and then I'll try to come up with some answers to try to help, and I'll produce these videos. And then if the questions continue to come in via email, I'm just going to direct people to these videos, as that's probably the easiest way for me to do it. So again, thanks so much for the participation. Thanks so much for sending in your questions, and let's start answering them. So in this video, we're going to try to answer 5 questions today. So I wrote myself some notes here, and I'm going to read the questions, and I'm going to try to answer them for you as best I can. And hopefully this will be helpful. It'll be helpful to some people, because I get these questions over and over again. So the first question is, what kind of computer setup do I use, and what are the specs? So I get this question a lot about my computer, because I get lots of questions from people around plugins and processing power, and how much RAM do you need, and all this other stuff. So what kind of computer do I use? So I use a 2013, the new Mac Pro, the trash can version. I bought that in I believe I bought that in 2014. I bought it about a year after it came out. Prior to that, I was using a 2009 Mac Pro, the old Tower, which served me very, very well for many, many years. That was a great computer, but when the new one came out and I found myself doing much more larger sessions, I wanted something with a faster processor. So I have a 2013 Mac Pro. Let me just give you the specs here, because people wanted specifics. So it has a 3 gigahertz processor in it. It's got 32 gig of RAM. And it's got a 500 gigabyte hard drive. Okay, so that's the basic specs on the computer. Now I think you can upgrade the RAM to 64 gig if you need to at one point. I think it came with 8 as a standard package, and I upped it to 32 when I bought it from Apple. I don't know what the configuration specs are today, and I don't know what you can do when you buy it from Apple, but that's what it was when I bought mine. And then for hard drives, what I do is even though I have a 500 gig hard drive in the computer, I don't run any of my DAW recording sessions from the internal hard drive, and I also don't do any video editing or any video recording on that internal hard drive. And I talk about this a lot in my different training products and on YouTube, where I have an external drive both for audio and for video. So for audio, I'm using a CalDigit, Cali Digit is the name of the product. It's a RAID drive. It has 3 2 terabyte hard drives inside this one chassis, and I have it set up in the mirror mode, which I think that's RAID 0 or RAID 1, I'm not really sure, you'd have to look it up. But anyway, what happens is all my DAW, all my audio recording sessions are running off of one drive. And as I'm recording that session or working with that session and making changes, it's not only saving on the first 2 terabyte drive, but it's also making a duplicate copy on the second and the third drive inside of this chassis. So in essence, what I have is I have anything that I record or any session that I'm working on is going to be saved in 3 places. It's going to be on the primary 2 terabyte drive, and then it's going to be backed up 2 different times. And I can't urge you enough to back up your sessions as in many places as you can, because you will have a hard drive fail at one point in your recording career, trust me. So what's great about the RAID drive chassis is if one drive fails, I can just easily pull it out, put a new drive in and stick it in, and it will automatically copy the data from the other 2 drives over. So I'll always have 3 backups, if that makes sense. So that's what I do for audio. Now for video, because I'm getting much more into video these days with YouTube and Facebook and my Made Easy products, is I used to do all my video as well on that Kali Digit hard drive, but what I found was that I ran out of space pretty quickly. 2 terabytes sounds like a lot, but when you're doing high definition video, that's not a lot of room. So I bought a G technology. Let me get the G-RAID technology product, again with 6 terabytes inside of that particular RAID drive. And I'll put some of these images up over my shoulder here on the screen as I'm talking about these products. And what that RAID drive has, similar to the Kali Digit, is that it has 3 hard drives in it, and each one of those are 2 terabytes. And again, I have the video going on to one of the 2 terabytes, and then again, it's being mirrored to back up in 2 different places. So just like the audio, I have a video RAID drive as well. So everything is in 3 separate drives in case of failure. And video, unfortunately, fills up pretty quickly. So over time, what ends up happening is as that first 2 terabyte hard drive gets full, I start moving things to external USB drives and kind of stick them off in storage, or I'll start deleting some old stuff that I really don't need to preserve any longer. So that's pretty much my computer setup. It's the Mac Pro, the new Mac Pro, with 2 RAID drive setups, one for audio, one for video. And it works really, really well, and everything's done via Thunderbolt, so things are super fast, there's no lagging, there's none of that type of stuff, so it works out really well. So I hope that answers the 50 people that have emailed me and asked me that question in the past. Okay, question number 2. I see you use a lot of UA plugins in your videos. Can you go over what UA system, Universal Audio system, that you have, and how much DSP power do you have? Also, how many plugins can you use in a session before running out of DSP power? It's a great question. So, as you know, if you watch any of my Made Easy products, or if you watch any of my YouTube videos, you'll know that I use a lot of Universal Audio plugins. 90% of what I use is Universal Audio, and then I supplement that with some Slate Digital stuff and some Waves, but primarily it's Universal Audio. I love their vintage style plugins. I love the way they sound. I've been using Universal Audio since probably the mid-2000s, way back on the UAD1 platform. And so I've just been using them all these years. So I basically have, the system I have is as such. I have an Apollo Quad interface, which is a 4 input mic pre-input, which has a quad core DSP chip inside of the Apollo, okay? So that's great. So I use that for all my recording. Anytime I'm gonna record an instrument, I patch in there, and everything's done through the Apollo, and that has a quad core processor already in it. In addition to that, I have 2 Universal Audio satellite systems via Thunderbolt. I have a second quad, excuse me, satellite, and as well as an octo satellite, which an octo is really 2 quads built in one chassis. So my system really consists of 2 quad DSP cards, if you will, and 1 octo. Okay, so it's a pretty large system. Now for the second half of the question, how many plugins can I use in a session? Well, that really depends on the plugins that you're using. Each one of the Universal Audio plugins take up a different amount of DSP power. For example, if you use the LA2A compressor, that takes up a very small amount of DSP power, where if you use the Oceanway Studios Reverb plugin, that takes up a much larger amount of DSP. So on average, because I've been asked this question enough that I've gone through some sessions and kind of counted how many plugins I'm using. On an average session with between maybe 24 and maybe 35 to 40 tracks, I can use about 70 universal audio plugins simultaneously, and that'll take me to about 95% of the DSP power. Now, a lot of those plugins are channel strips, as I do lots of channel strip processing, whether I'm using the SSL or if I'm using the new Neve 88RS or the API. It takes up a ton of DSP power. So if you wanted to put a channel strip across 24 tracks, and let's say you were using the API Vision channel strip, that's going to take up quite a bit. So when I get a lot of questions about, people asking they want to buy universal audio, what do I recommend as far as a starting point? How much DSP power should you get? And I typically will recommend at least one quad. That will typically give you enough DSP power to get you going. And what's great about universal audio is you can daisy chain these things together, and over time you can expand your system. I think you can hook up to 6 satellites, I think, together. Check their website for that. I think it's 6. But I've had this system now for a couple of years, and I have not run out of DSP power yet. I haven't gotten sessions large enough where I had to. But, if I ever wanted to, I can always add another quad or another octo, and that would give me plenty of power. So universal audio is it's not a cheap thing to get into. I mean, when you start talking about these things, you're talking about several thousands of dollars, but it is one of the main hubs of my, my mixing and my recording setup here in my studio, and I just love it. And when you think about how great the plugins are, I don't see it as a big deal. For what I do, in my business, this is what I use. So hopefully that answers your question. Question number 3. Do you use any outboard gear when mixing? And if so, what do I use? I do use some. I didn't for a long time. I've just recently started. The first thing that I use that I have been using for a while, I guess it is Outboard Gear. It's an analog summing box. I use the Dangerous Music D box. I've talked about this a lot in a lot of my videos and all my products. I mention it. And basically what that does is it allows me to take out of my DAW Studio One, PreSonus Studio One Pro, I take the tracks out of my physical outputs on my interface, which again is a Universal Audio Apollo, called stems, and I send those stems or that audio out of the interface through the Dangerous Music D box, and that's a summing device which will sum the audio, the session, down to a stereo track, and then I bring it back into Studio One on a set of inputs through my Apollo in my case, on inputs 7 and 8. And what that does basically is it adds that the signal is going through the Dangerous Music D box, and it's all analog circuitry, analog transformers, and it adds that analog vibe, that analog goodness, some of that analog warmth that we talk about. That's what I do. And I've been doing it now for about 3 or 4 years, and people ask me, is it really a difference? Can you really hear a difference? How much of a difference does it make? And I can tell you, yes, it does. Is it going to make your crappy mix sound like a professional, well-balanced mix? No. But will it make a great mix sound a little bit better? Yes, it'll add that other 10% in my mind onto the mix to give it some of that nice analog flavor that we all kind of strive for today in the digital domain. So that's a Dangerous Music D box. And again, I've done videos on analog summing on my YouTube channel. You can check that out. The other thing that I use now, and I guess it's pretty recent, only over the last 6 months, is I'm using a couple of Warm Audio Pultec style EQs on the master bus. So when the audio is coming back in to the Dangerous Music D box after it's been summed, the very first thing it goes through these 2 Pultec style EQs. Now there's 2 of them because they're mono EQs, and there's one on the left channel and one on the right channel. And they're tube-based EQs. And if you know anything about Pultec EQs, they're known for their warmth and their smoothness, and they add a lot of punch and clarity in a very pleasing way. The Pultec EQ, the original Pultecs, are very sought after. If you can get your hands on them, even on the used market, they can fetch several thousands of dollars a piece. Where Warm Audio has made clones of these. They look just like them, and they run about $700 or $800 a piece brand new. And I've used some real Pultecs, and I own the Warm Audios, and I gotta tell you, to me they're the same. They sound the same to me. I guess if you were to put them side by side and A/B them, one may be slightly different than another. And I think that's just because, you know, any two analog pieces of hardware is not going to sound exactly the same. Even if they're identical, made by the same company, all the analog circuitry has a slight different values and such that will give a different characteristic. So anyway, so all the audio goes out of the Dangerous Music D box, coming back into Studio One. The very first thing it hits is the warm audio Pultec style EQs. And a lot of times I don't even use the EQ section to shape the sound if I don't feel like I need it. I just run it through the EQs to go through the input and output transformer, as that adds some nice warmth and some nice color. And then depending on the mix, I might dial in a little bit of low end or a little bit of top end, or I might cut a little bit of low end and use the EQ section itself. But I was using these for about 6 months now. And prior to that, I would just use a Pultec style EQ in a plug-in format on my master bus. And I like the hardware better. The hardware sounds a little more warm to me. It just does. The plugins sound great, but the hardware sounds a little bit better. And again, I like experimenting with things like this. So that's what I use. I use the warm audio Pultec style EQs and the Dangerous Music D box. Those are the two pieces of hardware that I use. Everything else is done in the box with plugins. Question number 4. What gear do you use to make your training videos or your training products and your YouTube videos? So I get this question a lot too. So my system is I guess it's kind of simple, but it may sound a little confusing, but let me explain. So basically, I'll just start from the microphone. When I'm making my Made Easy products or my Quick Mix products and my YouTube training videos, not like a video like this. When I'm doing a video like this, just sitting in front of the camera, I'm using a Panasonic high definition video camera. I don't know the model offhand. I guess I can post it on in the description. And for a microphone, a lot of times I'll use either a lavalier mic, which I'm not using today, or I'll use a shotgun mic, which I'm using on the video camera today. This is a Sennheiser, I don't know the model number, shotgun microphone. It's like a $300 microphone. And just so I don't have to have something clipped on my shirt with a long cord running down my shirt. Although, to be honest, I'm not all that thrilled with the Sennheiser mic. The audio quality, just from voice being, I don't know, the camera's maybe 3 feet away from me right now. I don't know, I have to do a little post-processing. I'm not too thrilled with it, but it works. I mean, for videos like this, it's certainly passable. And the microphone's just plugged directly into the camera. I'm not recording the audio into the DAW and tweaking, and I'm just going simple right into the camera. So that's what I'll use when I'm recording a video like this. When I'm recording training videos or stuff on the screen inside of the DAW, I'm using the Shure SM7B broadcast microphone. That's the microphone that I'm using. That is going directly into an Allen & Heath USB mixer, and the model number is the ZED10. It is a 4-channel USB mixer. My Shure microphone will go into channel 1, and the audio coming out of Studio One or will be going into channel 2 and 3, left and right, 2 and 3, and then that is going into going out of the Allen & Heath mixer via a USB cable, and that is being recorded by ScreenFlow, which is the Mac screen capture software. I guess the PC equivalent would be Camtasia. So everything is going, my voice and the DAW stuff is all going through the Allen & Heath mixer. Now, some people have asked me, well, why wouldn't you just do it through your Universal Audio Apollo? Why do you need to have that mixer? And without making this video an hour long, basically, the reason why I do that, the only way I can really do that is because ScreenFlow, the screen capture software, doesn't really capture the DAW audio out of my interface the way I want it to. And it's really because I'm using the Dangerous Music D box. And I'll just tell you that the only way I can capture the audio in post-summing, meaning when you hear my videos on YouTube or you watch a Made Easy series video or Quick Mix video, you're listening to the post-summing, meaning after the Dangerous Music D box is doing its thing and putting that analog kind of vibe on it, that's the audio you're hearing. And the only way to get that, because of the way my studio is routed with all my gear, I can't grab that out of the Apollo. I have to take it out of a separate mixer. So I know that might sound confusing. If you want to send me an email, if you need more clarification, or if you're doing something similar and you need some more clarification, I can try to help you off on the side. So basically, my voice is going through the Allen & Heath mixer. Studio One is going through the Allen and Heath mixer, and then that is being captured by ScreenFlow on the Mac, and that's how I make my YouTube videos and my Made Easy series videos when I'm doing stuff primarily on the screen, like mixing Made Easy or any of the quick mix. Now, when I'm doing things like recording drums in Studio One Made Easy or recording in Studio One Made Easy, those products, if you have those products, those are done kind of both in the studio and also in the computer. So when I did the last one, recording drums, that was done not on the screen. It was all done in my studio around the drum kit that you can see over my left shoulder here. And that was all done again with multiple Panasonic high definition cameras. And then all that video was edited down and brought into Final Cut Pro, which is my video editing suite of choice, all done on the Mac. And so that's a combination of working in the studio with two cameras, the same exact video camera, so you get the same exact quality of video, all done in high definition. And then I bring all that into Final Cut Pro, and then if there's anything being done in Studio One, I'll bring all that in the Final Cut Pro and I edit it all together. So that's what I'm using to make my products. So if you have any more questions, you can certainly send them in, but that's a basic overview. And then the last question we're going to address in this video, question number 5, is came in from someone. It says, "I love your Made Easy products." Well, thank you very much. And it must take you a lot of time to produce these. I'm curious, what is the process like and how long does it take? Well, I just kind of touched on it a little bit in the last question. It depends on the Made Easy. First, thank you. I'm glad that you like the Made Easy products, and for all of the people that have purchased those products and continue to buy them today, again, thank you so much. I'm glad they're helping. The Made Easy series has taken off, and I never would have thought a couple of years ago when I started that so many people would really love these products, but I'm so glad that you do. And I'm constantly trying to get better at them and get better at producing them. I'm not a video making expert, as you could probably tell by watching this video. I'm learning as I'm going. And so, you know, some of the early Made Easy products are a lot more rough around the edges. And then some of the newer ones, like the recording drums that I just mentioned, is a lot more, I wouldn't say a lot more slick looking, but much more slicker looking than the early videos. I'm learning as I'm going, guys. I'm trying to get better and better at this all the time. And I'm constantly taking any monies that are generated from the Made Easy products and putting it back into the production to give you better training. That's really what it is. Most of what gets made gets turned around into buying better cameras, buying multiple cameras, buying better software, buying better blah, 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 microphones, whatever it might be. So they take an enormous amount of time to put together. I was never would have thought when I first started that these things would take such a long time to produce, and they really, really do. What you see as the final end product you know, is such a small fraction of all the footage that is taken and everything that is done. And because I'm pretty much a one-man show, I do everything. I record all the videos, I edit all the videos, I do all the audio, I do everything. I don't even have camera people. All the camera angles that you see, like with, again, the last recording drums where I did 2 and 3 cameras in certain parts of certain shots in that video, that's all set up by me, that's all done by me, that's all edited by me. So I'm the guy behind the camera, I'm the guy in front of the camera, I'm the guy in post. So it takes an enormous amount of time. There's a lot of preparation that goes into making one of those products. And again, every product I do gets more and more involved because I'm trying to get better at it to give you a better product. And so that's why, you have to charge for these things, because they do take a lot of time and a lot of investment on my part, not only time, but money as well, to purchase the things that are necessary to give you that product. So for example, the recording drum series I just did, I must have invested about almost $5,000 of my own money and different things that I needed to put that video series together, because that was one of the first video series or Made Easy series that I did away from the computer, where I wasn't just showing you how to mix a song. This was out in my studio, right? So when you're just recording, like mixing Made Easy, for example, everything is done in the box on the computer screen. It's a much easier thing to do. It takes a lot of time, but there's a lot less that's needed, so to speak. When I'm doing things like recording drums, or when I'm doing things like recording in Studio One, where you see me in front of the camera demonstrating, there's a lot more equipment and a lot more things that are needed to make that work so I can produce something of value to you. So I think, again, recording drums, I put about $5 grand of my own money in. And so, you know, and I do that as a gamble, not knowing, am I going to sell any of these things, or is this thing, or am I going to lose, you know, everything that I put into it? And thankfully, I've been able to recuperate my costs on stuff like that, thankfully, because I wouldn't be able to continue to do this unless I could. And so I love doing it. Someone says, you know, what is it like? It's fun. I enjoy it. Sometimes it's frustrating. It's humbling when I watch people that have made these products in the past, you know, make training products. It always looks easy until you do it. It is certainly not an easy thing to do, but I do enjoy it, and I'm proud of it. I mean, when I see the end result, and then I get the questions from you guys, when I get the comments, the reviews, the testimonials, it drives me to want to do the next one. Because when I'm done doing one, I say, I'm never doing one of these again. They take too long. They're just a big pain in the rear. And, you know, this is the last one I'm going to do. And now I have 8 products, and I'm already gearing up to do a 9th. So, and really the only reason why I do that is because of the response that you guys give me. I've always said right from the beginning, if people don't buy them, or people don't, you know, participate, and there's not this feedback back and forth, I'm going to stop making them, because it does cost me time and money to do it. And unless it really helps you, unless you guys really want it, there's no reason for me to do it, right? So the more feedback and the more you know, comments and questions and things that drive me to do videos like these questions, it shows that you guys are getting the products, you're liking the products, you're using the products, and then you have follow-up questions and you want more, and then I'm going to produce more, which you know, brings me to, you know, the price. You know, again, I'm very proud and very you know, I guess proud is the word, that I'm able to keep these things at such rock bottom prices. I mean, again, usually, you know, the regular price for a Made Easy product is $14.95, $15 US, which, you know, for what you get for those $15, there's nothing else on the market like it. Nothing. Whether you like my teaching style, whether you hate my teaching style, the one thing you have to admit, if you've seen one of my products, is there is an enormous amount of content for $15. I've had people in the industry, people that you would know if I mentioned their names, that I'm pretty good friends with, that have told me I'm crazy for selling these for $15. I should be selling these for $50. And I would probably sell fewer of them, but I would certainly make more money. But that has never been my goal. It wasn't about making money. Yes, I need to make money to live and feed my family like all of you. And I can't give these things away, which it's ironic. Some people, forget, I won't even go there. But anyway, but I want to try to help as many people as possible. So because I sell them at $15, I sell a lot more of them. And therefore, it enables me to continue to make new ones. If I didn't sell as many as I do, I could never sell them for 15 bucks. So again, it's because of your support is the reason why the prices are lower. And my goal is to keep those prices lower. And as you know, if you're on my VIP emailing list, and there's thousands of people on that, you know that many times during the year, I even sell these things for 10 bucks on sale. As I'm recording this video, it happens to be over the 4th of July weekend, 2016. And right now, all my Made Easy products are on sale for 10 bucks for this weekend. I mean, where are you gonna get anywhere from 3 to 10 hours worth of training for 10 bucks? There's no way. I mean, that's less, what, $1 an hour? I mean, really. And so anyway, the process is grueling. The process is fun. I enjoy making them. They're frustrating at times. It takes an enormous amount of time to put these things together. But in the end, I really do love it. And I really get a lot of satisfaction out of helping you guys out there in TV land who buy and purchase these products. And again, thank you so much for that. And as I tell people, you know, if even $15 is out of your budget or $10 is out of your budget, look, I understand. Go to the YouTube channel. There's almost 200 videos on YouTube of me doing mini training of a lot of what's in the Made Easy products, but just a much more condensed version. The Made Easy products obviously are going to give you a lot more quality and a lot more in-depth training. But if you can't spend the money, I have no problem with that. Go to YouTube. That will always be free. I'm not one that's ever going to charge you for YouTube. I think you could do that now with subscriptions. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to create a Patreon account. There's no subscription you have to have through me. If you want my training, buy the Made Easy and the Quick Mix products. If you don't want to pay for it, great. Go to YouTube. You'll find a lot of the same stuff there, but just in a much more condensed version. Anyway, that was question number 5, and that'll be it for this video. Next time I will do another 5 questions, and if you guys have any questions at all, please go to the Facebook page, post your question there. I will gather up all the questions, and I will try to categorize these things by topics. This week was kind of about gear and such, and how I make products. I already got the next set of questions, which is all around the business and the studio business, and how I started a business, and how do you start a business, and blah, blah, blah. So for more tips, tricks, concepts, and techniques around everything home recording, be sure to head out to homerecordingmadeeasy.com. And if you want more information on my mixing and mastering services, people ask me about that all the time, you can head out to visionrecordingstudios.com. And if you have not done so already, please like this video, hit that subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube. The more, again, interaction I have with you guys, the more videos I'm going to create to try to help you make great music in your home studio. So until next time, this has been David with homerecordingmadeeasy.com, and I will speak to you all soon. Take care.